5 o'clock, so we'll declare the meeting open. We do have a quorum. I'm going to ask Deputy Mayor Teeman to lead us in the pledge and the invocation.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for giving us this day and every day, Lord. Lord, thank you for our city staff, management, police, and firemen, Lord. All the staff and city council that help operate your business here in Sherman, Lord. Lord, give us the ability to do your will in the community and allow us to act on your behalf and be a light for the community and folks around us, Lord. Lord, just be with us in everything that we do. And let us remember that as Christmas comes, that this is a season for us to remember your Son and the ultimate sacrifice he gave on the cross, Lord. Thank you for being with us always. In your Son's most holy name, amen.
Amen. All right, thank you. So everybody have an opportunity to look over the minutes from the council meeting on December 3rd?
Move to approve the minutes of December the 3rd.
Okay,
Second.
motion and a second, couple of seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, at this time, I believe Robbie has a special recognition for us.
Yes, I don't know how many of you know a man named Terrence Steele. Terrence, just wave or stand up.
Terrence.
Yeah, he's been with us a little while. Now, I'm saying all this in jest. Everybody knows Terrence here in the room and in the community. We're pleased to have him coming on board as our second assistant city manager beginning January 1st. So he'll just be another cord in the strand that will help us get the business of the city. You know, as we grow, as we take on more projects, and the city grows, then so does staff. And so we're excited to have him come on in that capacity. He's been serving the city faithfully many years on city council, and then most recently, we've been. I joked this morning that we've been test driving him for the last year, and driving him hard. You know how you do cars, where you gun them and you come to sudden stops and you peel out, and so we've been doing everything we can to throw everything we can at Terrence, and he's done very well, admirably. So we're excited to have him come on staff and join us in that capacity. So just wanted to recognize him today for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, at this time, we'll open public hearing. Linda, if you'll read B1 for us, please.
Ordinance 6169, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman designating a certain area as Industrial Reinvestment Zone Number 9, City of Sherman, Texas, providing for the establishment of agreements within the zone and other matters relating thereto, providing findings of fact, providing a severability clause, providing an effective date for the commencement of the reinvestment zone and this ordinance, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Mary?
Yes, this ordinance designates Tyson's property as a reinvestment zone, which is the first required step before the city may grant a tax abatement agreement. And the project receiving the abatement is for Tyson to add about 80,000 square feet to their facility and some additional equipment to eliminate a bottleneck in their operations. We expect that the project will add about $19 million to the tax rolls. The abatement agreement is 6 years at 50% a year, which is in accordance with our tax abatement matrix.
Thank you, Mary. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Okay. If not, Linda, if you'll read B2 for us, please.
Ordinance 6170, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman closing and abandoning a portion of the developed right-of-way being East Lake Street between Montgomery Street and the former Houston and Texas Central Railroad to the east of Montgomery Street, being more particularly described in the attached Exhibit A, said right-of-way to be retained and maintained as a utility easement, conveying the interest in said right-of-way to the abutting and adjacent property owner, Douglas Distributing, Incorporated, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Clint?
In 2015, we had some major rain events, and the culvert along Lake Street failed, and we started at that time working with FEMA and determined that we would actually not reopen Lake Street, but to work on plans to extend Park, which is actually part of our master thoroughfare plan. The problem is extending Park required 2 railroad crossings, and work with the railroad has taken much longer than expected. We do have approved plans through the railroad. We're waiting on a contract with them to begin the process of them doing the work they need to do, and then we'll bid out the work that we need to do to extend that street. And so now that we're to the point where they've approved our plans, we're comfortable with abandoning this portion of Lake Street. Douglas Distributing will be purchasing this from us. And on the east side of the railroad tracks, our street crews will be installing a cul-de-sac, which we've had to obtain right-of-way for the local traffic on that side of the street. So we recommend approval of this as that next step to this Park Street extension.
Thank you, Clint. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Okay. Would you like to speak, Mr. Douglas? Or only if you'd like to.
Here to object. It's Bill Douglas, 2301 San Miguel, Sherman, Texas. And we've worked with the city for 3 years on this particular street. The street itself, as you may know, is a marginal little asphalt road that goes across the creek, and it gets damaged by floods and finally got blown away. The bridge did, or the culverts did, that covered it. And it makes real sense for us because our property is, we have 40 contiguous acres there, and this takes the street out from separating our property in half and allows us not to run up and down Montgomery Street with forklifts. We'll be able to drive between our property across that closed street. So it's a very, very important piece for us safety-wise. We've been very concerned about. We have the old pool manufacturing building, and we are manufacturing in there. We have lots of trucks. Many trucks come in there. I mean, big trucks like Walmart and everybody else pulls those semis in there. So we're happy to work with the city on picking that property up, and we thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Mr. Douglas.
If there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Okay. We'll get to that in a few minutes. Is there anyone else to speak on this item? Linda, if you'll read B3 for us, please.
Ordinance 6171, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 12, Ordinance Number 2280, so as to include certain properties within the R2 Multifamily Residential District at 511 Northeast Street, being part of lots 3, 6, and 7, Block 9, Bonds Second Edition, containing 0.3334 acres, Tobar Properties LLC owner, NBS Drafting and Design draftsman, and Helvey Wagner Surveying surveyor, providing for repealer, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Scott?
Yeah, this request went to P&Z for them to build a fourplex on this lot, and P&Z approved that 6-0, subject to the staff review letter, and we had no opposition.
Scott? Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Yes, sir. Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you for being here. Anyone else? Okay. All right, Linda, if you'll read B4 for us.
Ordinance 6172, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 8, subsection 5A, Ordinance Number 2280, so as to grant a specific use permit to allow patio homes in an R1 one-family residential district in the 4100 to 4300 blocks of Quail Run Road, Tract 1 being 2.060 acres in the Elizabeth Jones Survey, Abstract Number 625, also being the proposed lots 39 through 49, Block 11, The Preserve, Phase 2. Tract 2 being 1.513 acres in the Elizabeth Jones Survey, Abstract Number 625, also being the proposed lots 10 through 18, Block 14, The Preserve, Phase 2. West Star Home Builders LLC owners, Cross Engineering Consultants, civil engineer, and Underwood Drafting and Surveying surveyor, providing for a repealer clause, providing that this specific use permit shall be granted subject to certain conditions, providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you, Linda. Scott?
This is a specific use permit to allow patio homes on 21 lots. They're platting 42 lots at this time. This is just west of 1417 and north of the Pulte subdivision. Board voted 6-0 to approve this, subject to the staff review letter.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Sir, you'll give us your name and address for the record, please.
Jonathan Hake, 131 South Tennessee, McKinney, Texas, 75069, here representing West Star Homes on this SUP request. The request is for patio homes, although the intent isn't to build patio homes or traditional single-family homes. We're requesting the patio homes are reduced to front yard setback due to some slopes on the lot, so we can have a little bit bigger backyard. Here to answer any questions when you guys have any, or if you
Okay,
have any.
thank you. Anyone else to speak on this item? Okay, if not, we will close public hearing and consider the adoption of ordinances. Council, any questions?
I have a question about 6170. Right now, on East Lake Street, there is a sign that says "Street Closed." Once this is completed, will the "Street Closed" sign remain, or what will be there to notify individuals going down that street that there's a cul-de-sac and a turnaround at the end? Will there be anything? Will it have a dead-end street or whatever?
A fence? Mr. Douglas?
So from First Street heading west,
Yes.
so that will eventually connect to Park.
Okay, you're gonna
and go
eventually-
all the way
yes.
through, and then there will be a T intersection about 2 blocks in that will lead to that cul-de-sac
Yep.
that goes north back towards that area, and that will have a cul-de-sac or no-through traffic
Okay,
sign.
all right, thank you. There's been a long time waiting on this to happen, and we've had a lot of citizens in my district particularly interested in this piece here. So we are very happy to see the land get turned over to you, because that means we're moving forward.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve all as written.
Second?
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, we are down to the consent agenda. These items are considered to be routine and will be enacted in one motion without discussion unless a council member or a citizen requests a specific item be discussed and voted on separately. The consent agenda includes items C4, C5, C6, D1, E3, E4, E5, E6, E7, E8, and E9. Would anybody like any of these separated for any reason?
Mayor, I would like to remove Resolution 6448.
6448, okay, that's C6. Okay. Any others? Okay. We get a motion on consent without item C6?
So moved.
Okay.
Second?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay.
Mayor, who was the motion on that? Thank you.
All right, now C6. Okay. Linda, you want to go ahead and read that for us? We'll treat this like a,
Resolution 6448, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman revoking and replacing Resolution Number 6405, establishing salary structures and incentive certification pay schedules for firefighters and police officers, establishing special longevity pay schedules for newly hired firefighters and police officers, providing for an effective date, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
okay? Thank you, Linda. Okay.
I just have several questions on this one.
Okay.
Maybe that I just don't understand, but I need clarification. One thing that I see is that there's a different time period for civil service being on the fire end and the police end, different times for their pay scales. Hang on. I apologize. I really do have it all marked up here. When I ask you. Their limitations on the police and the fire are different when they come back in. One of them is capped out and one's not. I want to know why one would be and not the other. For civil service, why we're not keeping it on the same.
For the most part, because we have different variations between what we see we may need from somebody. So the last time that I brought this notion before, and the spirit of all of it is to remove any barriers that there may be between bringing people in laterally from previous experience. Now, one of the things that they have to face that we don't so much is volunteers. So for us, it's commensurate experience on a case-by-case basis. So if somebody has a number of years in a department that isn't equivalent to policing in Sherman, then we reserve that right. So to not bring them in at that capped out level, basically it is just the two departments running independently is why that's the case. So the civil service, although both police and fire are within civil service, we operate independently from one another. And so if Chief Danny, he has that right to cap his at what level he may feel comfortable with. And I chose to remove a cap and bring them in at whichever level we see that their experience may have them at. So it's just the two different departments running independently is all that is.
Okay.
One other thing to consider there too is the pay structures. Of course, each department has their own pay structures that are adopted by the council, but the pay structures, particularly at the either the firefighter level or the patrol level, are different. We go up to, I think, 20 years or something on, or 10 or 20, I can't remember which one, on the police. Fire goes up to either 5 or 6, I think, on the firefighter side. So even within each department, it's recognized that they're capped out at different rates, both on the pay structure. So this really kind of follows that same concept as well from that standpoint. I can recall when we didn't have the lateral entry, and it was a barrier to us
To get
attracting
people-
people even to be interested in this, because if people had several years of service at another department, having to come back in at ground zero,
Oh, they wouldn't want to do
yeah,
that.
they just didn't want to do it.
Understood.
So.
I just wanted to know why it wasn't lateral within, and I understand the difference now, but Danny, are you okay with that? I mean, is it set where you want it for your fire?
Yes, ma'am. So one of the differences between police and fire in Sherman is police have the opportunity to hire somebody off the street and then send them to academy.
Okay.
We hire those that are already certified, have been to academy and are already certified through the Texas Commission on Fire Protection. So that's one of the requirements that they have to have before we even hire them. They hire people and then send them to the academy. This really just changes some of the specifics of the lateral program, which with the competition for hiring firefighters now is growing and will continue to grow. This just allows us to draw those that have experience, which helps us in the training. We don't have to train them as long. We can get them counted towards manning quicker, and it's just that incentive to get. And as an example, even before this was changed with our current lateral program that we had before, this last group that we've hired, one has came from Houston Fire Rescue in Houston, Texas. One has came from, 3 have came from Odessa, and one has actually came from Washington State. So it's.
So it is helping y'all to be able to do this. Awesome.
We believe it is, and we know that competition is going to get even more, so this will help us draw people, experienced firefighters, even better.
Absolutely. And I appreciate what y'all do, and even working to get us people here on the force on both of them. The only other question that I had was, when and if we'd had somebody start in the city and they chose to leave and then they come back, we're giving them their time and seniority back?
Right, so what we give them is basically their time and rank and seniority, right? So if somebody had been with us for X number of years, we still let them hang on to that experience and time when they come back to get paid. We don't start them back at the bottom. And that coincides with the decision to allow somebody from an outside agency to come in and start with their level of experience. So we don't want to, just because your level of experience was with us, we don't want that to be a handicap for you if you choose to leave and then come back. We still want to count that.
How do you feel the other people in the force feels about that have been there?
Yeah, so that was one of the things we tackled when we first talked about this, and they were okay with it. They too recognize that experience is experience. Some of these people may be coming from departments that are much busier than ours, and just because they put that time in somewhere else, they recognize that they should be credited that. And so we haven't had any negative feedback from it.
And I apologize, the rest of the council's not new, so I have to have my questions
I
answered.
actually had a
too.
discussion with one of our 20-plus year firefighters. He's still a firefighter after having 20 years in the department. He's not promoted. He's a firefighter. That's what he likes to do, and that's where he's chosen to stay. And I had discussions with him okay, hypothetically, if we change the lateral entry program where a guy coming from another department that has 10 years in, and he comes in and he's going to now be making the same salary as you, and you've been here 20 years. What do you think about that? And he said, kind of what Chief Flores says, experience is experience. The training is less. And he said, basically, I don't really think about what other people make.
Okay.
You know, and that's kind of the feeling with the new people coming in. They're not really concerned what salary they make, and they see the benefit of that being a draw for experienced firefighters. So
I think what you'll find is both sides of the house are just happy to have the help.
Absolutely, and I appreciate what y'all do, truly. Thank you.
This is kind of off topic, but when you were, I never really thought about that. So you hire and then you send them to academy.
We will, yes.
You will, and you have to hire them out of, is that a city?
no, we don't have to, but we have put in
Local rules.
the local rules where that is a requirement.
That was my question. So that's a local, so we would have the ability, if we wanted to recruit like the police does, go put them through, get them, and then send them and get their training.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Okay.
Since
There's some long-term thinking about, there are regional academies.
Uh-huh.
And, there's some thinking on down the road of possibilities with that, of, having a regional academy that everybody can draw from.
So we're moving towards our own academy at some point. I mean, is that even a possibility in the fire world?
I probably won't be here, but.
Okay, come on.
And
Well, I was just curious. I mean, is that a possibility? I mean, could we do that if that was
We have
something?
had discussions, and how to bring that together. We think it would be a regional thing where there's several departments in the region that go in to have this academy. And then that gives all of those departments the ability to draw from those. It takes instructors, it takes people, training facilities and all those types of things. We're also in some discussions with SISD, with the possibilities in their curriculum with academies. So they graduate from high school and they're ready to test and to go.
That's good.
I like that.
I like that.
Good stuff.
I wasn't trying to get us on another topic, but I thought that was interesting and something to think about for sure.
So chiefs, have you guys seen, are there other departments in the area that do this lateral program, or are we being more competitive because we have it now?
On the police side, for sure. So a lot of it's about timing, and in the Metroplex, you see a lot of agencies do this because they're able to easily attract from Dallas, right? So if we're not keeping in step, then we start to fall behind. And so this at least keeps us competitive. Now, we haven't been losing people to them. We were having a conversation this morning that with our overhires, we are in that. We are actually hiring our overhires now. We're full staff. And,
That's good.
so 2 of the officers that we've hired out of the 4 that I sent over today are officers. So it's working where we're able to bring these people in with some experience, and they're looking to come. So
When you say they're officers, you mean they've come from another
from
city?
another entity, that's right.
Okay. Are we the only city with 4 police chiefs at this level of population?
I'm not for sure exactly. So as we operate, I think you'd find that pretty usual. Now, what they call them may be something different, right? So for us, we call them assistant chiefs because of the way that civil service is lined up and how we have to have that allocated so that we can make the appointments. However, the title is just that. So I think that you find other agencies, once you get to a certain size and your department is broken into different segments like ours are, you're going to find that you have a leader over each segment. And so I would say that it's pretty typical for that, and whatever they're called may vary from place to place.
And you can have a dozen different departments, and you could have a dozen different structures of the way some places have chiefs, assistant chiefs, deputy chiefs, division chiefs, and you have more chiefs than Indians.
Yeah.
But it's how they structure, and a lot of places, deputy chiefs are what's considered assistant chief. It's just kind of what you name them and kind of their responsibilities. So on that hiring thing, we send our last official start date for to be fully staffed today. That includes the 6 positions that were awarded to us through the SAFER grant. So as of January the 1st, we'll have full staff plus those 6. So we're getting the people, and we want to continue to get them as we need them. So this will help with the lateral program.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I move to accept Resolution 6448 as written.
Second?
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, guys, for that explanation. Appreciate it very much. All right, Linda, if you'll read C1 for us, please.
Resolution 6443, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman nominating Tyson Fresh Meats Incorporated to the Office of the Governor, Economic Development and Tourism through the Economic Development Bank as an enterprise project to encourage private investment and job retention, providing for a repealer, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Mary?
Yes, this resolution nominates Tyson as an enterprise project. This is for the same project that the tax abatement covers, as mentioned previously. In order to apply for the State Enterprise Zone Program, the Tyson has to be nominated by the city. The State Enterprise Zone Program allows them to receive sales tax rebates. This is just on their state dollars. So this nomination does not cost us anything, nor will Tyson receive any local sales tax rebate dollars.
Okay. Thank you. Council, any questions on this item?
Move to accept.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Linda, if you'll read C2 for us, please.
Resolution 6444, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman authorizing execution of a development agreement with Brookstone Estates Development Joint Venture for the construction of public facilities in Brookstone Estates Addition, a 23.455-acre development off of FM 1417 Heritage Parkway, southeast of Quail Run Road in the City of Sherman. Finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you. Glenn?
This is an agreement to build an 86-lot subdivision just east of 1417. It's actually the Phase 2 of Joe Gilbert's Brookstone Garden Homes addition. The development will basically extend Brookstone Drive to the area highlighted on that map, just north of Pebblebrook. Improvements will include water, sewer, streets, and storm drainage.
Thank you. Council, any questions on this item?
I have a question I'm not sure it can be answered here, and that is, we keep getting all of these for patio homes and 86 lots here. Are we getting to where, the economy's what it is? are we getting too many houses and too many patio homes and too many duplexes? Are we going to end up with a glut? I'm just asking, because I'm not a real estate agent, so
Well,
Not for us to decide.
I know that really.
is it, and I agree,
I mean, I don't want to see somebody building and then they have vacant homes, lots of vacant homes, and I know that's not for us to decide, but I just was curious.
is it a case of you get the variance so you're not necessarily tied in to the existing rules? Not necessarily that they're taking full advantage of them? Is it just a matter of doing business to request nowadays for a variance?
Well, so this particular one is really just the development agreement itself, which is we agree to let them develop public infrastructure, and then we take over maintenance of it for the rest of our lives, basically. On this one, we did have one earlier that was to allow patio homes, which, as was mentioned, allows for different setbacks and lot sizes, potentially lot sizes. As it relates to the question about is this too much, really it's market forces, which are a combination of developers and purchasers and the economy and how people feel, consumer sentiment about stock markets and jobs and all that. So it's a really complex mix of variables that go into determining how much is enough. There has been, we've got several people in the, either construction or banking or whatever. There has been a softening of the market for real estate, but some of that is seasonal. Some of that is maybe a spillover from just the Fed raising interest rates and some other things. So what that means long term, we don't know, but I guarantee you that developers
They're
have
not going to build if they can't.
They have their finger on the pulse of what's needed, and their job is to get things teed up and to move them along at the appropriate speed of where the demand is.
Okay.
Well, yeah, and I would think that, 2 or 3 years ago when this started, we didn't have any lots.
Right.
And so there was a real shortage of lots. So we're going through this process, and then they may put this on the shelf for a while until we get the next big turn in house building, and then they're, to use the term shovel-ready, they're ready to go.
Right.
But, yeah, these guys are smart enough, they're not gonna go start a lot of houses unless, but it's
Yeah.
platted, it's ready, it's ready to go.
I know it wasn't that long ago that there were no houses available, and we were
Right.
desperate for houses, apartments, or anything, and we've seen a lot of it, and I just was curious, because, I'm not in the real estate business or banking business as to whether we were going over that hump, and then all of a sudden, we were gonna have an abundance.
Yeah, so there still is a limited inventory of available housing. So I know that to be the case. My gleaning from talking to real estate folks and bankers and whatnot is there is kind of a sweet spot where developers are trying to hit in terms of homes, and it's kind of the middle America. Probably in that 160 to 200,000 range, maybe 210 band for Sherman, Texas.
Okay.
4 years ago, that band was 120 to 150, and now you can't find, there aren't many houses that are in that
Okay.
category at all. So,
All right.
I think it's good for the city.
Okay, absolutely.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 6444.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, Linda, if you'll read 6445 for us.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with Brockett Davis Drake Incorporated for the engineering design of Flannery Road and Progress Drive expansion improvements. Finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Thank you. Cliff?
We're asking for approval of an engineering contract with Brockett Davis and Drake for the design and the extensions of Progress Drive and Flannery Road. This engineering firm are the ones who have been doing the Crossroads development. They also designed West Travis Street, and we've been happy with them. Where this project is kind of popped up is SEDCO has had some growing concern with Progress Drive dead ending. especially when the train that BNF uses, those train tracks block that intersection, which means nobody can get in and out of either of those industries. And so with that and the purchase of additional Sedco land, we started looking at this area. As the high school develops and the stuff north of 1417 develops, Moore Street will actually connect to Flannery, which will make it a minor arterial for our master thoroughfare plan. And so with that being known, this contract would look at the design of Flannery Road and Progress Drive, with Sedco picking up the cost of the design for Progress Drive and us picking up design for Flannery Road. Sedco last week did approve this contract at their board meeting, and the thought would be is the construction of this would be phased according to development. So similar to some of those other extensions that we've looked at, we won't be building the 4-lane median divided section now, but we'll design for it and acquire right-of-way for it so that as this area grows, we'll have roads.
Okay. Thank you, Clint. Council, any questions on this item?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Down to E1, other business. Linda, if you'll read that for us.
Setting the public hearing on the proposed agreement with Tyson Fresh Meats Incorporated for the abatement of ad valorem property taxes for improvements within Industrial Reinvestment Zone Number 9, City of Sherman, Texas.
Okay. Thank you. Mary?
Okay, this item is to set the public hearing for the tax abatement agreement with Tyson for January 7th. The vote on the agreement will also be at that same meeting.
Thank you. Council, any questions on this, setting that for January 7th?
Mr. Mayor, I move to set the public hearing and proposed agreement on January 7th.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Linda, if you'll read E2 for us, please.
Replat approval of lots 1, 2, and 3, Parkview Addition and adjoining tract to the south, being 0.801 acres in the J.B. McInerney Survey, abstract number 763, City of Sherman and Scott Adams owners, and Helvey Wagner Surveying, surveyor, 106 North Woods, 118 and 128 Kessler Boulevard.
Thank you, Linda. Scott?
Yeah, this is a replat there on the south end of Kessler where it was closed at Wood Street. Trax is going to be putting a parking lot in there. So it was unanimous for approval, subject to the staff review letter.
Council, any questions?
So the city of Sherman owns part of that also, or?
We purchased the 8 lots north of this replat as part of our, in 2015, whenever the Kessler failed. It was determined after a second failure during construction that it made more financial sense to purchase those homes. They were all voluntarily purchased. Scott Adams, who owns Track, had the last 3 lots to the south, and we worked with him to do this replat. Lot 1 on the plat will actually be his parking lot, and the second lot, Lot 2, he's actually going to donate to the city to be as kind of a part as that linear park is.
Okay.
That's gonna be a real nice park there. I'm waiting. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Council, any other questions?
Oh, it's at the Willie Steele Park.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We are down to citizens' request. Is there anyone in the audience here to address the council this evening? Not media questions. Nothing? You have anything? Okay. Very good. Council comments. Sandra, I'm going to start with you tonight.
Oh, thank you, I appreciate that. I wish everyone a Merry Christmas, safe travels if you're leaving, and a Happy New Year. And I wonder if anyone's having any trouble with the last rains that we've had. I haven't heard that, but I'm very curious about it, so if we hear of anything.
I was gonna say, I sure enjoyed the employee luncheon the other day. It was nice to everybody in the same room, and just appreciate everyone that works for the city.
And I'll follow up with that. It was great to see how many wonderful people we have working for the city, and they all have a smile on their face, and they enjoy each other's company. And we do want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And, just be safe over the holidays.
I would like to just say thank you to the city staff that helped me last week, the technology company that got me to the meeting. Although it is nice to be back here in the flesh, but that was pretty neat for the technology guys and the IT department to get me up on the big screen there. And I'm afraid my face might have been a little too big on the screen. I was hoping they would minimize it, but no, all the city staff, you guys work so hard to get projects like that done, and to keep the city running, and to make sure that we have a great place to live. And I just appreciate everything that you guys are doing. So thank you.
To piggyback off of what Pam was saying, the city, I mean, the meeting was really great. The luncheon was great. Everybody did seem to be really happy, and I want to make sure and wish everybody a happy, and Merry Christmas.
I would like to ask the city if we could review the College Park overlay and take a look at it and see if there's anything there that we can change or update and bring to modern standards. I'd also like somebody from the city to go inspect along the 700 block of Cleveland Street for flooding issues and see if there's any way we can have those resolved. I'd like to thank all the city employees for having us to their Christmas party. It was a lot of fun. I got to give a speech, and that's always fun. I work in government, and I can tell you that working in government, people only pay attention to what you do when something goes wrong. And when something goes right, no one seems to care. And something goes right with the city of Sherman almost every day, right, Robbie?
That's right.
So I'd just like to take this opportunity once again to thank all of our wonderful city employees for the job that they do and wish them Merry Christmas.
Thank you. And again, it's very humbling for me to serve as mayor. I'm just honored to be able to serve the citizens in this way, and very thankful and blessed to be able to do that. And I know everyone up here feels the same way. We have a great city, a lot of great folks, a lot of good things going on, and we're just so very thankful and blessed to be able to serve such great folks. So thank you. And have a Merry Christmas and a very happy New Year. We'll see you back January 7th. But for tonight, the City Council will now hold a closed executive session pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act at Section 551.071 to consult with the city attorney concerning pending or contemplated litigation on a matter in which the city attorney's duty under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter, at Section 551.074 to consider appointments to the Planning and Zoning Commission, and at Section 551.087 to deliberate regarding economic development negotiations. So at 5:43, we'll go into executive session. Thank you.